And we have to figure out who's gonna cover when.
Yeah, I didn't know if you knew that the Board of Selectmen typically
Yeah, you are.
helps,
Okay.
covers, and
Yeah, split the shifts.
kind of split the shifts. It'll be more of an issue in November, I think, because of turnouts, but when we get closer, we can talk about the shifts.
Okay.
Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, we're just signing stuff right now.
Did you do that manifest and stuff?
Yes.
So if somebody could just do a recap for me, because that wasn't.
Yep, I made the motion,
Yep.
and Tyler seconded it. Do you need the one with the dates or anything? Or just who made the motions?
Nope, just that you made the motion and Tyler seconded that. Did you guys do minutes yet?
Nope, that's next. All right, I'll take a motion on minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from June 13th, 2016 as amended.
I'll second that.
Okay, just, one comment, Dawn, under the, no trucking, no through trucking ordinance. It said Mr. Sterndale read the proposed, which was intended. I think it should have said proposed ordinance. I think you did that just to see if we read it finally. All right, all in favor of approving the minutes of June 13th, 2016 as amended? Aye.
Thank you, Dawn.
Same day, non-public minutes.
Okay,
You guys have all seen them, but have not approved them.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the non-public session of June 13th, 2016 minutes.
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Done? All right. Reports from assigned boards and committees. Has planning board met since we last met?
I think so.
I know, it's been a bit.
I think we're just continuing on with the same cases that we've had so far, so, and they continue for Wednesday,
Okay,
so.
all right. And budget committee is this week?
It's this week and,
Yep, I'll sit in for you on that,
Why not?
and, because we're gonna be reviewing the Q2 numbers. Chris is gonna come as well, so. We got it covered.
okay, thank you.
Yep. Just one thing on MPEC, I did have, Laura Bistany reach out to me, and she is, pulling together some folks to, start getting behind the fundraising.
Oh, good.
Yep. And so she's reaching out to some folks. I told her that we can certainly meet at the community center here. So we should be getting that going soon.
Great.
Anything else we should know on Marston at this point?
The survey work was the aerial survey work that we talked about the last time we talked about it was just finished,
Yep.
and delivered to us late last week.
Okay.
So it's moving ahead. I haven't heard from Barry and, Matt on any design things that have come out of that, but they were kind of waiting on that
Okay.
piece, so,
Okay,
chugging along.
great. Okay, town department reports?
Okay, a lot of personnel stuff. Betty Olson, our longtime admin at the PD, her last day was Friday. There'll be Gunner's gonna work up some kind of luncheon or something for her August, September timeframe. She's gonna come back and help training her replacement.
Okay,
Then they're gonna be interviewing starting next week for that position. Oral boards for the police officer that we're looking for are in 2 weeks, and you're gonna sit in on those,
Yep.
Donna?
yep,
I don't know how many applicants we have, but that time slot is definitely full, so
okay.
a number. Nicole Lee has been hired as our recreation assistant. Nicole has been our summertime person for, I think, 3 years now. She's now gonna be year-round. She jumped in, hit the ground running, just as camp got off the ground. Camp is screaming. We have more kids than ever before.
That's fantastic.
Soccer, what do they call it, Challenger Camp is this week. But they hit the ground running, they're doing great. There's a lot of participation. Older kid participation is up, which is great. So they're doing well.
I've talked with a couple of the counselors, the teenagers who are counselors this year, and they're real happy with the way that it's going as well and enjoying it.
Good, good. The kids beat the place up, but it's good to have them around for 6 or 7 weeks. That's enough.
The joy of little voices.
Yeah, it's good. I actually heard a little, I don't know what game they were playing outside our office today, but I heard one of them say, "And you'll be hearing from my lawyer." So, anyway.
Let's hope that was role played.
Yeah, I think it was some, yeah, I don't know what it was, but anyway, our new cruiser is here and in service. The paving work, I think we had a pretty good run there. We had no big issues around paving. Most of it's done except for Jabig. That season seemed to go pretty smoothly, in terms of timing, and we heard a couple things from residents, the usual, you close down a road for a while, it's a pain in the neck for people. A couple little driveway things, but I think that's gone pretty well. The Oak Ridge or Maple Ridge, that road is done and the first building permit's been issued out there, so that's underway. Second or third hand information was they were gonna try and get 3 or 4 done this year, out there, the builder that's working out there. And lastly, I've held back the RFQ for solar stuff for this building, because the superintendent expressed an interest in getting involved with it, and he's been on vacation, and I'm gonna wait to loop them in and see if it's worth doing something, rather than lop them on at the end. I want to get it in early, so that'll push us back, but we've got plenty of time to work with on that, so I'll keep you posted there. And that is all I have for you.
All right.
I have some mail and signature things. The fire and rescue family picnic information is in here. I think I mentioned that last time. We have, and then the rate approvals for Nicole Lee and a lifeguard coming back to the beach. Rate approval there.
I'm gonna be away on July 30th. I won't be able to go to that. I did go last year.
And I do have one more thing. The New Hampshire Municipal Association every year sends its...
Just initially.
Yeah, just initial that, please. Sorry for the coffee ring there. The NHMA sends its people into the State House every year with a set of priorities and endorsements that the Municipal Association members on a whole host of policies have weighed in on. They have a long, drawn-out process of developing policy priorities and policy stances on behalf of all the member towns. And they have a committee process that produces all these things, and then the towns send somebody to a conference to vote on all these policy positions before they send their lobbyists and all their energies into that process. So,
I remember nominating you last year.
well, we didn't have to jump right to that. So what we've done in the past here is have the Board of Selectmen kind of have an internal discussion and vote on each of these things, and then send a delegate in with the vote to to the conference.
Did you actually go last year, or did we?
Yes.
Oh, you did,
Yes.
okay. Okay, yeah, it was a painstaking process to agree how we wanted to vote on that.
Yes, what it is there's 120 or something, it's a huge list of things. 90% of them are things that work for every town, usually at the expense of the state, and we all say,
Yeah.
yes, we ought to do these things.
Yep.
There's pretty consistent support for these things across the aisles, and
Yep.
there are half a dozen or 10 things that maybe you have different opinions about, and those are
Yep.
the 6 or 8 or 10 things that we spent coming up with a vote to send somebody
Right.
to this conference on, so. I have all that for you. If you want to go through that, it's doable, it's easy, we know what to do. We're one of 200. Our vote's not gonna change anything.
Yeah.
So I'll give it to you. I have a process ready. I've solicited the staff and some of the boards, like the assessors, I've solicited their opinion on the assessing related things.
Yep.
If they wanna give you a recommendation on any of it. I'm still compiling those recommendations, but I'll have all that for you. And I'll leave it to you to decide how much time you wanna spend on it. If you want, one of you wants to go and, meet all those folks and take part in that. If you wanna send me to go and vote for you, we got plenty of time to decide that. The conference isn't until September, I think. There's also a way to bring policy proposals to the floor there. It's clumsy, but it's doable, and that's all outlined in here as well.
So how about if we all take a look at this? Now, you haven't put others, the boards or departments' recommendations on here, right?
No, I will send you a spreadsheet that has all that in it, and what I did last time was just have you all put in a yes or a no,
Yep,
and figure out the things where you didn't all say yes or all say no, and then
Yeah.
bring that back to you to talk about
yeah,
if you
yeah,
want.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think we spent a lot of time on it last year.
Yeah, there were 2 or 3 things that
Yeah.
consumed us one Monday night,
Yeah, yeah.
probably for minimal benefit.
Yeah, so what I think,
But-
like, we could take the time going through it on our own. Let's get the recommendations that you have, and then, maybe let's discuss it and let's focus on the ones that people feel strongly about or have a strong opinion on. Okay?
Yep,
Does that work for you guys?
yep.
If you look at this and you decide there's a different way that you wanna approach it, just let Chris know.
Yeah, it sounds like what Chris laid out last year works and makes sense and is most productive. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
When would we need to get feedback to you?
The 2 to 3 week time frame,
Okay.
something like that. I will get you those
Yeah,
recommendations
I want the recommendations first.
within a
Yeah.
week, probably.
Okay.
So we've got a couple weeks to
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep,
chew on this. Read it, digest it,
memorize it,
have coffee over it, spill coffee on it.
yeah.
Donna, you were gonna talk to somebody about the Lamprey River advisory, were you able to?
The individual that I was thinking of is unable to do it, but did give me another
Oh, good.
suggestion.
Okay.
And so I haven't had a chance to reach out to
Okay.
that person yet, but I will.
Now I'm really done.
Okay, so we've got Q2 budget review and policy. So you wanna start with budget?
Yep. So I wrote the kind of,
Yep.
high spots, low spots summary for you, and I can run through that stuff. The overall picture I think is fine. It's not really cozy, but I think we're gonna be okay for the year. As always, it's driven by payroll and weather,
Yep.
and or payroll and related costs. For the most part, we're on track with payroll. With those vacancies that we've had are gonna give us a little bit of breathing room. We've not between, recreation, now 2 in the police department, that we won't fill to the full level that we're budgeted for.
Not a good budgeting strategy, though.
No, it's not the way we wanna do business, but, that will give us a little bit of breathing room. It's not just the wages, but the benefits as well. You know, we could give some of that back if we end up hiring people on family health insurance as opposed to single individuals and that kind of thing,
Yep.
but, you know, by the time all that stuff kicks in, we're looking at August, September, you know, rec is filled, but, so overall, that payroll picture looks okay. It's tightest in police, you know, he's right up against it in overtime.
Yeah.
And we've just got into park season, so I think overtime there is gonna miss because he's gonna have stuff to cover. And, you know, we're in vacation season and an officer down and an admin down right now, so, we know we're gonna miss there. But the vacancy will probably cover that without too much difficulty.
We're down in admin, but we're paying somebody to come in and,
Yeah, but it won't be full-time, and it won't be at that same rate, and it won't be benefited, so, there'll be savings there.
okay. Yep.
It's not the kind we want, but,
Yep,
so that's the payroll picture, and then the contingency fund that we created at town meeting,
Yeah.
not knowing who was going to leave, but
Yep.
anticipating somebody, and sure enough, I think that's looking at, we may spend the full 20 by year end that's in the contingency
Okay.
fund. But that's, at this point, 16, it wouldn't be, that's not coming out of
right,
the current year, so. We're gonna miss on election costs. We obviously have two more days of that to get through. We're gonna miss on the demolition on the demolition, we didn't budget enough for the asbestos that we ran into.
okay,
That asbestos removal stuff is happening in about 10 days. But those costs are essentially paid as far as these numbers show. We're making up some ground on fuel. It's oddly low, but,
Bless you.
but between lower prices, plowing being not quite the burden, at the beginning of the year, and quite honestly, we topped off all the tanks in last week of December, so, you know, it all adds up.
Yeah.
We tried to do that in a lot of things last year, but, other utilities are gonna be okay. Heat's in good shape. We're coming into air conditioning season for this building, so that's why the electric looks low here. But we're a little bit lower than where we were a year ago on that for this building. And those are the projects are the bulk of the costs. Paving, we always have enough, we just don't spend any more than we're budgeted for. So those bills are just coming in now. There may be a buck or two in savings there, but more likely it's gonna be right on the number. The roofing bids are out now. We don't know what those are gonna come back at, so we could get surprised there, but it won't be a $10,000 surprise.
on the, community center building maintenance, the one that's 8,000 over, is that because of the,
I think we need to shuffle some costs around there. We have a miscellaneous line at the bottom of that section
that's at
that is
37?
unspent, right?
No, it's 37 over.
Okay, so that is, that and the community center building maintenance and the THOB miscellaneous, that's demo.
Okay,
That's the miss
Yeah.
on the demo.
where does the pipe,
That should be community center building maintenance,
okay,
but,
but it wasn't 8.
yeah, you know what, this number changed since I looked at it last, so we've moved some things around. I'm gonna have to dig in on that one and get.
That's the one that's gonna jump out at the budget committee.
Yep, no, we had shuffled some costs around, not hiding any money, just getting it in the right lines.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look back at that one, because we haven't missed by that much this early. All right, we'll look at that in the morning,
May.
yeah. Now, one thing I don't think I put in my memo, but the collection fees out at the recycling center, that's a late, it picks up later in the year, and just the way that bills out, it's, you know, the volume is a little bit higher later in the year, and it lags a little bit on the billing, so compared to, it looks like we're way underspent. This is really pretty close to where we were at this point last year, so.
You guys have any other specific questions on this? All right, so you just fix that one number and then.
Yep, and you're gonna be at budget.
I will be at
and,
budget, yep. I'll be playing the role of Tyler.
And we sent you revenues too, but
Yep.
it's too early to.
Yeah, yeah.
One change, that if you're really looking at the details, the property tax revenues, when you see them, in some contexts, we treat those as receivables now, which is a new thing. So that may jump out at the various reports that you're looking at from time to time, but, used to be done on cash basis.
Okay, everybody good on this?
Yep,
All right,
Okay.
move on to policies.
thank you.
Yeah, you know, Chris, I appreciate that you come to the budget committee when we're presenting these numbers, because the budget committee becomes more informed, because you can explain them better and you can answer questions, you know, faster, rather than us taking the questions and going back and forth, particularly at this time of year when the meetings aren't that frequent.
You can do the last budget presentation if you want.
All right, where do you want to go with policy review?
Well, we have a handful, to talk about. We don't have to do anything, I don't have to finish anything. The three topics that I threw at you before the holiday were, retention of our recordings of meetings, and then two policy, which we have no policy for, we have a practice, and then two policies that reside in our policy book, one being a policy for being placed on an agenda for this meeting, and another policy for filing an official complaint. And we've put our hands on every policy we can find, regardless of age, and we're just trying to churn through them all, update them, get everything touched.
Okay.
So those are the three that I hit you with first, and then more recently, the winter and inclement weather road maintenance policy. There will be more to come, but those are the four before you at this point, and you can tackle them in whatever.
Well, did you guys have a chance to look at them? Do you want to go through any of those?
So
or-
I think what I had emailed Chris today on I think for the electronic record one, I think we do need to develop a policy on that. Otherwise, it's gonna become a data management record retention nightmare. So I think that one needs to be written so that we have it. I think on the other two, what what I'm thinking is, those could be, I think the select board should have bylaws. And we should write up some bylaws, and those could be incorporated into the bylaws. I found on the planning board, we have bylaws, which have been helpful in a couple of situations in which, there needed to be clarification in relation to the role
Okay,
of the, board. So I think bylaws would be beneficial to, especially moving forward as we get into 5 members.
right.
And I think it's also helpful for a new member coming in, like when
Yeah.
I was a new member to the planning board,
Yeah.
understanding some of, what the role of the planning board was.
Have you seen any examples of other
The town
bylaws?
of Salem,
Okay,
I've seen, I think the town of Wolfboro,
Okay.
maybe.
Okay.
I did do a quick Google search to see if there were towns that do have them, and there are towns that have them for select board members.
okay.
Um,
Do you have any thoughts on that, or have you?
Yeah, I think, you know, having policies to fall back on is a good thing. I don't know how complex you need to make them.
Yeah.
You do need a structure for things like, agenda setting. I think we're pretty informal about it now. And we're pretty informal about people coming and talking to you. I don't think you wanna give that up. I don't think you wanna make it hard for people to talk to you. But I think often these policies come about as a result of a problem. You know, somebody feels like they
Well,
weren't
those two
given a,
did.
you know, that they probably did, and, you know, I've seen other towns have a hard time managing that public input. We don't obviously have huge crowds here, so,
I just.
you can freehand that, to some extent, but it's nice to have something to fall back on if you need it.
So I just think we wanna think carefully about that, because I know, you know, with all due respect to our colleagues on the school board, I think that that is one thing that frustrates some people when they go to school board meetings, is that they can only comment at the beginning or at the end. Now, they have bigger crowds, they have bigger agendas than we do, so I know that there's gotta be
Yeah.
some control.
But one of the
on it.
things, so at the training well, you went, right? So, well, I mean, one of the things that that came up in the discussion, at least the one that I had,
Yeah.
you know. And so through the bylaws, you know, you can kind of write how the chair,
Yeah.
you know, handles those situations, and then you've got the bylaws to fall back to, so that you can either,
At the discretion of.
at the discretion of, or, you know, in wording it that it's, you know, don't repeat, have people come up.
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
repeat
okay.
this and that kind of stuff.
Okay,
can all be-
so policies coming under the bylaws, like I can see, like the, you know, the agenda, or getting on the agenda and public comment, and stuff like that. Would other policies come under that?
I didn't know if there were.
Yeah,
I wrote to you late in the day today, and I will try to think of other things that we do just by custom or
okay.
practice that probably ought to have something like that, but nothing jumps to mind.
So like snow removal, I wouldn't see that coming under bylaws.
No.
No, I think what you're talking about is entirely about,
Conducting
The
business,
Select
how
board
the
operations.
Select board
Yeah.
operates,
Okay.
or how do you reach the select board, that kind of stuff.
so we've never done that. Board of Selectmen's never done that.
there's no, well,
There's nothing on record.
there's nothing that we found in the
It was
record.
proposed by one former select board and shut down,
Okay, I think it's a good idea.
but I think it's a good idea.
You know, for a couple of the reasons that you cited, like new people coming on, and in particular, if we're increasing to 5, I think that would be helpful as well. Okay, so, do you want to, can you send Chris?
Yeah.
A couple of the examples that you
The
saw?
links, yeah, I can find them.
And then let's put that on an upcoming agenda.
And your intention would be to try and just have a policy that reflects kind of what we do now, more than add any kind of structure, or,
I mean, you could always.
you don't want to be more restrictive, I don't think, in,
No.
no.
I don't want to be more restrictive, but I think if we're doing this, we might as well maybe lay the groundwork.
Okay.
Some of that.
I mean, I think what's in there is, and like when I read, I think it was Salem's, they require, pretty similar to that, if you wanna come speak before, if you wanna be put on the agenda, you know, submit any materials ahead of time, so that
Yeah.
the board has time to review it, you know, pretty standard stuff.
I thought submitting in writing might, I don't know how strongly you feel that that's important. You know, I think if people email or call, that should be fine.
Yeah.
Alright, so I think that's a good approach for those. What about like the involuntary lot merges and the, snow removal?
Well, the involuntary lot merges isn't a policy, isn't, that's
that was just a,
in RSA.
That, yeah, that's an interpretation of law, there's,
so what do you need from us on that?
nothing yet.
Yeah.
We are waiting to hear from, the applicant, for lack of a better word, for
Okay.
when she wants to come and
Okay.
appeal to you for that.
Okay, so that was background for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Snow removal?
That's the one that.
Oh, that's the other policy, yeah.
That's the
that,
other policy.
Just let me catch where you are on, recordings for meetings. You want a policy, what do you want, what's your feeling on
So
what
I-
you want the policy to say?
Yeah, so as far as the audio visual, I mean, I think it's gonna become in a matter of just a few years, so cumbersome to keep YouTube channels and all these audio tapes and, you know, all of that ongoing. I think that what I was thinking is, you know, we keep it till the minutes are approved, and or some short
Okay.
period of time. But we need to be sensitive to, it's gonna include like labor, but I think it would very, very quickly start costing the town money to
Yep.
retain these, cause YouTube's not gonna be free forever.
What if, at least for now, the policy were, 1 year's worth of current meetings, the current year meetings? And then after that, it's just a written.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would ask how much space that takes up, right?
We've got
Website
space
and
for a
stuff.
year, cause we have
Yeah,
multiple years, we don't have multiple years uploaded to where people can view them at this point.
Yeah.
We have a drive that's just filling up with audio and video files at this point.
yeah,
So it's, the internal storage, once all the rendering and all that work is all done, the internal storage is not that costly. The external availability of it is going to get to be a cost at some point. We're leaching into the school system for YouTube at this point, and that won't be free forever.
Are we putting everything up on, all of the meetings up on YouTube now?
Yes,
Okay.
and it's not nothing for work
so
to
that's
get
Board
that
of
done.
Selectmen, that's Conservation Commission, that's Zoning Board, that's Planning Board.
Yeah,
Budget committee,
Huh?
budget committee.
Oh, and Budget Committee will go up there too, so that's 5.
Right, I wasn't thinking about that.
and we went the YouTube route because, it was doable, it was low cost, we have labor costs, but
Yeah.
no, in order to put our, these recordings online through another system, it would cost us a fortune, we looked at that.
What if we?
So that was the kind of easiest way to get to the
Yeah.
point where people could see them if they didn't have cable, or if they wanted to look back. They missed the, they want to see something from more than 2 weeks ago, that was the only way to do it.
What if we cut it to 6 months, but let's monitor it for the next year and see what viewership is like? Because we can,
Yeah,
that's one of the things is,
on YouTube, you can see how many
Yeah.
views it got.
see how many views there are and determine based on that if it's worth it to continue doing that.
Yeah, there is another, there's competing interests here. On the one hand, it's a historic record and you wanna, you don't wanna be hidden about things. You've got it, why throw it away? There's some value in it, but, where you have minutes and you have a recording, the recording from a town point of view can really only be used against you.
Right,
It's, the only bad things from a legal if your minutes are good, then it just, becomes an obstacle for you in a, particularly in a land use board or
right,
Yeah.
yeah,
On the flip side, if you're saying that you're going to do it just till the written minutes are available, you're essentially doing all that work for like 2 weeks.
right.
right.
Yeah,
And that's what the law tells us to do, but nobody does it.
yeah,
The law's out of date and everybody knows it. And,
yeah.
nobody throws away the recordings as soon as, somebody probably is throwing away the recordings as soon as the minutes are done, but most are not.
Do we have the authority to determine what the policy is for other boards?
Yeah,
We do?
Yeah, I think so. I'll double check, but
Okay. Because they're elected boards.
yeah. I'll double check, but I think so.
Okay. Yeah,
So I think, bottom line, we do need a policy, because right now
Yeah.
we're not doing anything, so there's no direction to staff, there's no direction to anybody as far as what to do
Yep.
or what not to do. And there could be some liability at some point in time, right? Who knows?
yeah,
And then, so if we have a policy, we at least, everybody's clear, everybody understands what we're doing, and,
yeah, I mean, I think I'm most concerned now about doing all that work for just 2 weeks worth of posting.
but I think, I agree, we could do it for 6 months, and, but I agree, monitor how much is it being used? I mean, how often are the repeats of the meetings viewed? How often are the meetings viewed?
How much do we have up there
I
now?
don't know.
How much YouTube
Does it?
stuff do we have there? Like 6 months?
Oh, no, I'd say up to a year.
Almost a
So we
year?
can go look at stats now.
With a link, yeah.
Yeah, no, you can see some viewing history on YouTube for some things, and maybe what we'll do is we'll sample a few of them and see how that viewing spreads out. If it's, the week after it happens, it's 90% of the use,
Yeah.
that tells you one thing, or if
Yeah.
there are a lot of people for some reason going back and watching things.
But realize
months
too,
ago.
we haven't
We haven't publicized
we
it,
haven't
so.
publicized it.
Yeah, fair.
Promoted it,
Fair.
so.
But we'll give it,
I think the big thing right now is that there are a lot of people that don't necessarily know that it's out there.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Let's look at the usage and, let's talk about it again.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's something we're gonna have to write, it's
Yeah.
just a matter of what it says.
Yeah.
okay. Okay. Winter and inclement weather road maintenance policy. So I wrote to you on this one, this is really a pretty sizable hole in our
Yeah.
liability protection. State law really protects us from liability for road conditions in the winter, as long as we're following our policy. The law doesn't tell you what has to be in the policy so much, it, has to talk about priorities and,
Okay,
it's
so
a
the first
policy
thing you
or a
wanna
set of
do,
priorities.
the first thing you wanna do is repeal the 2004?
Yeah, we have a policy on the books about you can't put your mailbox in the right of way, and if you do and it gets clobbered, we're not gonna pay for it.
Okay,
That's a question we get all the time. So we need to, I'm not suggesting we change our answer to that, really, it's, that's been our policy for a long time. But we need to go beyond that to an overall priority and policy statement for the town, and the one that I gave you is, it was amazing how many towns were using virtually the same document,
so
they all.
that's the first italics.
Yeah,
That's
that's,
the,
that's
that's,
the old one,
that's the
No,
old,
that
that's,
italics is the law.
that's the.
that's the law.
That's
So,
the law that tells us you need to have a
so
policy.
you've got a proposed motion here to repeal,
Repeal the old one,
and then everything on the next 2 pages is your proposed.
correct.
Okay. I'll admit I haven't had a chance to go through that in detail, I just kinda skimmed it. Did you guys have a chance to go through it in detail?
Yeah, I've got some minor, edits, but and then I had, I think, so I can give you the minor edits. But I think the one question I did have was, should we put in language, in relation to subcontractors? Like, when we have, cause we have subcontract plowers, right?
Yes, they're contractors for us, but,
Contractors.
yeah, and equate them with town drivers, that kind of thing.
So what do we require, do we require any liability insurance from them and stuff?
Yeah.
So maybe what we wanna do is just put in something in relation to that's what we do, and that, yeah, just
Yep,
something
okay.
to cover us from a liability standpoint, from, you know, any damage of the contractors that could be, you know,
Yep,
may not
okay.
be done or something, to that, so I don't have language, I just
Yeah, no, I
have-
can figure something out there.
And then the other thing that I just had was on number 6. I didn't, in the first paragraph, I didn't understand the sentence. It just needs, I think, some clarification. That starts with the routes, their priority, and the timing of activities. I didn't understand that question, that sentence.
This means the A through F that can get reordered, right?
Yes, if,
Okay,
yes, if conditions warrant,
Right.
we can shuffle that list around if need be.
okay,
That's what that's trying to say.
okay.
It may not be clear, but
And then
it needs a comma in a couple places.
Yep.
And then on 8D, I just wondered, cause it's kinda all covered under 11, so do we need D? Cause then you've got more about, damage. And parking. Kinda was looked like it was a duplication.
No, it's not, because it's talking about liability. D is liability.
Okay. Damage to private
Well, I mean, I
property.
guess C does kind of say it. I don't think it's bad to have it.
Alright, I mean, I'm not, and on,
Yeah, yeah, well, you know what D is, the 8D is doing that 11C is not doing is it's that whole improperly or imprudently located
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
11C is much broader.
Yep.
But I'll go, you may be right there, I'll go back and look at that one.
and then, on number 9, so I read this and I'm like, yeah, okay, but people do it, so what action would be taken, cause it is a safety action. It's, I know people on the road I live on that do it, and
It can,
Middle of the road.
push the snow out into the middle of the road, and,
I've seen people do it with leaves too.
I mean, we, you know, agree, shouldn't be done, but, like, we don't do anything about it.
if, you know what, if we had and we probably do, but if we had a major problem with, a routine problem with, you know, somebody did it with a huge pile of snow every snowstorm, I could use this language to go say, hey,
You can't do that.
you can't do that. And we give it some, you know, is it gonna change anybody's behavior? Probably not,
No,
but
maybe having
it's
it in here.
it's a basis for civil action, it's a, you know, it's a reach.
Maybe it's a discouragement for some people. I don't know.
Okay, and then my minor things are, I wonder if that first paragraph, if it just shouldn't say purpose, and then read it. And then in number 1, under objective, you're just missing the S on snow.
Now we're moving.
Oh, now removal.
And then on 8B, it talks about replace or re-erect boxes. I didn't know if we wanted to put postal or other boxes. I feel like sometimes we should use.
Paper box.
Oh, newspaper
I
box.
don't know how the specific.
Does anybody do that anymore?
Yeah, actually, surprisingly so. That's all I had. Otherwise, I think it looks really good.
Tyler, did you have a chance to go through it?
Not full.
Okay, so why don't Tyler and I go through it, if we have any significant
Shoot it to
comments,
me,
we'll
and then-
shoot them to you, okay?
Okay, and I'll bring it back in a couple weeks.
Okay, great. Alrighty then, anything else? Any other topics anyone wants to cover?
I had, so did you folks read the Stratford Regional Planning email newsletter that came out? They had a good link to the bills that passed and didn't pass. So the one that, we're gonna be able to, there was a new, language put onto the 91A3, which is gonna allow us to go into non-public to talk about, any written or oral legal feedback that we've gotten from an attorney without having the attorney present.
Has that gone into effect?
Yep.
Yep.
Yep, effective immediately. And then speaking of records, there was the RSA 33A5A added language allowing electronic records to be transferred to paper, microfilm, or PDF, for records, I think, less than 10 years, so, we were just going through that records retention. So I think those are two bills that are, make
Yeah, I'm
life a little
gonna-
bit easier.
I'm gonna come back to you with something as a result of that law change on the PDF thing, and we'll probably have to do another records retention thing, but
Okay.
we need to have a discussion about electronic versus paper,
Okay,
and we won't
okay,
be ready for that right away, but
okay,
I was rooting for that law.
Yeah.
good.
And then the other one was another 93A3, which added that minutes of such sessions shall record all actions in such a manner that the vote of each member is asserted and recorded. So
In non-public.
in non-public, if we vote, it has to be recorded how each individual
Sure.
voted, so just those I thought were ones
Okay.
that just,
Good.
now, I think that was effective either January 2017 or immediately, I didn't write that down.
Thank you, Charlene.
Yeah, just, but it was good. And then I just have another one on coverage for while Chris is gone,
What dates are you gone?
August.
August 22nd, 20,
Cause I'm gone some of those same days.
I mean, it's not a free phone.
It's not freeform.
I didn't know what has
Freeform Friday.
what has happened in the past or.
Are you gone? Are you gone for a week or 2 weeks?
week,
A week.
20, well,
Yeah,
21st through the 29th.
21st through 29th.
So I don't know if you're gonna be around to be the key contact or.
Yeah, I mean, I'm around then. He's certainly gone on vacation before.
Right, I just didn't know how,
Not really.
how it's handled, like, if Dawn hits the lottery and she says, I'm not coming back to work,
Yeah,
who does she call?
no one, because we won't take that call. No,
I'll wait.
you'll wait,
I'll
yeah.
wait.
No, to
We'll wait.
your point is well taken. I'm around, certainly, anybody who's around, I'll definitely be around. The office runs pretty much on, not to say that Chris
I don't-
doesn't
I
do
don't need to be
anything. Not to say Chris doesn't do
In case
anything,
of
but
emergency.
everybody knows their jobs, and yes, in case of emergency, you can always reach out.
I don't think I'll be out of cell range where I'm going to be. I can't promise that because I've never been there before, but
But you do
I'll
have
certainly be in touch every day.
Yeah, but
I
you
do
also
need-
need a vacation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally in favor of completely disconnecting. Now, if there were a major disaster, we would probably call
And
in.
that's fine.
Okay, but I think we'll be fine.
Okay, that's all I had.
Tyler, anything?
Nope.
Oh, I did have one more, sorry.
Worse than me.
Sorry. So we had talked about meeting with the Historical Society,
Yeah.
and I didn't know, in late fall, so I didn't know if we wanted to, kind of start putting some, because I think we're also gonna meet with the Conservation Commission, so I don't know if we should kind of start putting those into the queue for date
I had
meetings.
that on my list for late summer, but I'm,
Okay, all right,
invite Historical Society to BOS late summer was
Okay.
the last time we talked
yeah,
about that,
yeah.
yeah.
but,
Yeah, you may
still
wanna,
on it then?
yeah,
Okay.
but it's probably worth mentioning and getting them thinking about it.
Yep.
Yeah,
And I know that, and especially come fall when budget stuff starts to
start-
happen, and
gets
I
busy.
know that it ran pretty smooth last time, but just trying to think ahead.
I really would love a calendar.
We never came back to that discussion. What do you want to see on this calendar? What do you want to see topics? Do you want to see all of the documentation behind it? Do you?
I just would rather see, all I need is topics.
Okay.
To know, like, when things are scheduled out, so that I can look and know kind of what I have to be prepared for down the line. I mean, ideally, I'd love to get the documents for each meeting further in advance. But I know there's, issues with that, but at least if I can see, like, when are we meeting with the Conservation Commission again, blah, 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 that would be helpful to me.
Okay.
Cause I'm assuming you kinda have things slotted out in your mind about what timeframes we've gotta be talking about different topics, right?
Yeah, we have agenda documents created already, and we actually when we're tinkering with it, we call up the agenda and edit the agenda on the fly.
Yep.
I create the entire year in January, so the document is, it's like a mail merge, and I create every agenda.
Yep.
So they're literally sitting there, and whenever any of you call, we get a request, fees, do whatever.
Yep.
He opens that document for that day, puts the topic in, and then things adjust.
So do you, for future meetings out, do you have topics on those?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's,
But we were kicking around how to get that kind of information available to you without us creating another thing and managing another thing, and that's the hard part.
okay.
But if that's what you want, we'll find a way to do
So can I
it.
make a recommendation? So maybe on like the agenda, put future meeting topics, something that would just go on.
Dates
like-
and topics?
I
maybe?
see the dates.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be, this is what's kinda in the
It's
the bullpen.
if you've got it in
the
something that you
lineup,
can print out.
that just stays.
Well, it's this. It's this over and over and over again. But we'll figure something out.
Okay.
It's 2016, we'll figure something out.
Yeah, I mean, like, at work we use Google Calendars, right?
Well, we had talked about that, but we didn't want to compel select board members forever to have a Google account just for the privilege of getting this information.
I
So-
don't know what value it would add to me.
See?
Not that, I'm just,
And we had also tinkered around with our website. We have an intranet capability.
Yeah.
Where
Okay.
you could log into the town website like we do to edit it. You could log into it and have access to a different body of stuff. It's another login for you to manage where, we're happy to do it, but it's just another
I mean,
thing for you.
truthfully, I think if, for me, just kind of, if I were to have something like a calendar like that, I would want it attached to the email system that we use.
So I think the real root of the problem,
That was my wish! Thank you, Charlene! I wanna go.
Different systems.
I wanna go server-based, but it's expensive.
yeah,
Yeah, the ideal, the holy grail is Office 365 or Google across the whole
Google Docs.
platform. And get all of our elected officials all using the same software, get them, for $5 a month, you can get, and we can all share spreadsheets, and we can send stuff to the budget committee, and here it is, and go, it would be magnificent. It would cost a chunk of money, and
What's a chunk of money?
a chunk of money is $5 a user a month.
Okay, that's a chunk of money. Okay,
And it would be magnificent. And it would, some of those things would take care of a lot of our, our records retention things, and but it's a big number.
So could that come out of cable franchise fees?
Yeah. But I'll boil it all down, and we can talk about it in the budget context, but
so I think if you,
it's a long way to go to get your calendar, but.
yeah, I mean, I think if you get at the root of why I'm asking, it's because it's a challenge, and again, this isn't a criticism in any shape or form. It's a challenge for me to get material on Friday and to get
Yeah,
through
because
it.
I spent Sunday between planning board and select board.
Yeah, and that's a challenge for me sometimes to to be able to really go through information.
Would you prefer it in piecemeal as it comes out of the pipeline rather than stockpiling it for the agenda package? Because some of the things that I produce are ready before the agenda is ready, and I could throw them at you, it turns into more traffic and more things for you to juggle. Some things do actually take until Friday to get ready, and
Yeah.
so it's, what do you prefer?
I think that'd be okay. I think, maybe you could just even earlier say, here's the topics we've got for the next agenda, right? Because then, if we wanna go out and kinda try to get more informed on that particular topic, that could help.
Just a 2-week look ahead, is that?
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay, that we can do, that's easy.
Do a 2-week look ahead, and then if you've got stuff piecemeal, that would be helpful.
Like the policies have been coming onesie twosie, cause they're
That's the
not,
way they're gonna come.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
What about you, Tyler?
How do you work?
I have an internet with my work, so I can go in and see anything at any time,
Yeah.
whatever, but, no, I like the same thing, I mean, like, stuff keeps coming in, like the minutes, I don't sit there and taking minutes for 20 years in my meetings, I mean, I expect nobody's minutes to be perfect, and nobody's are going to be.
Yeah.
So I briefly look at the minutes, and I don't say, oh, gee, you put is instead of
Yeah.
it, you know what I mean, so I kinda approve them, I always, but you guys, you're good, I don't remember everything either, it's like,
But
no,
if
I think it's perfect, if we, like, the meeting I was supposed to go to, that I couldn't go to Pawtuckaway, or not Pawtuckaway, the, conservation people or whatever, when they had the one, I said yes, but then I didn't realize, I mean, they didn't have my calendar up saying I had something else going on, so.
Yeah.
I wanna make as many things as I can, so I think it was a little bit more, like you said, if they're out there saying, we need somebody for this, this, and this, I'm gonna be much more, proactive and be able to attend.
About getting the information, are you good with getting everything like the Friday before the meeting, or would you rather get stuff
No,
piecemeal?
I'd rather get yeah,
Okay.
so you can, cause same thing, it's hard to sit there and go through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you don't wanna spend Sunday.
Sometimes
Yeah, I
it's
know.
all on Friday night, we debate that.
Yeah.
What do we do? Because when we are sending out Friday, I know that you guys are all stuck having to spend your weekend.
Or we just don't have time on the weekend, right?
And like right now, for the next 6 months, for me, just the way that the calendar's switched, I now have planning board and board of selectmen on the same week. Where before it was good, cause then
It was alternating.
it was alternating, now.
It's a week 5, it's when we have a big
Yeah.
Oh,
week
right,
in a
right.
month. It just is enough, because they're on second and
And
fourth,
fourth.
Okay,
and it just has shifted, and
okay.
I've noticed it. Like today, there are 3 boards meeting, it's you,
Wow.
conservation, board of assessment,
Well,
all on one night.
okay.
I only had can I get 2 questions real quick? Number one was, is there some reason that, like, I had told you about me not gonna be able to attend the budget committee, but I had CC'd Charlene, and hers came back because it was under Nottingham, and then when I went to email Chris today to say I might be late, first time I did it, it came back. I don't know if it's saying, I don't know if it's Comcast, could be my email too, but just whenever I use that, Nottingham.
Did you email both her and I to say you weren't coming? I didn't get that either. 'cause
No, I had just sent it
Oh,
to
you sent
Chris
it to
because I
him.
was
Okay.
driving there, so his name came up, so I just said,
Oh, okay.
but, yeah, when I went to email something the other night, you got it, but I don't think Charlene did. So I don't know if, it could be,
You're putting in that Nottingham-NH for both of
just when
them?
it comes up, I have, all
Yeah,
the emails in there, so it came up. So I don't know, it could be my server too.
Sometimes it takes a while to get, cause sometimes I'll email you something and it doesn't show up,
Yeah,
that I emailed it, so like then I email it again.
it's not an awesome email
Yeah, cause I've
program, no.
not gotten emails from him.
Yeah,
I think what it is, actually, you send the email, the squirrel loads it on its back and starts
Exactly.
running down the
Exactly.
wire.
right,
Yeah,
So, And the other thing I had was just, and again, I don't know, this is about like town elections and stuff, so when I went to the training, I found it very odd that in Nottingham, that we had people that were running for office also working the election inside I mean, all the elections I know, you're supposed to stay away a certain distance away from so I don't know if that's something that in the future,
So that's,
should we look into it, or?
that's a really good thing to raise, Tyler, because that has always been my understanding. But I don't know if different portions of the process, if it's okay. Because there was someone who was running for office in our last election who was, performing a checkout process. So, to your point, I don't know if that's allowed or not. It had no impact because it was after the fact.
Right.
Right? But,
Let me look at that one, that's,
Isn't part of that a
It's-
conflicting statutes?
Yeah, just, I mean, no,
there is some of that, and there are exclusions in statute in a couple cases. The moderator, for example, has to work the election and
Right.
has to be elected.
Right.
And select board members are compelled to be there by one law and conflicted by another, but let me,
well, no, when select board members are running,
you're
We had to stay-
excused.
you're excused,
Yeah.
yeah.
100 feet away, and whatever it was, but, and I'm not saying that to be, I'm just asking.
No, that's a fair question.
When we did the training, that's what because I heard some other people saying, you know, oh, so-and-so was,
Well, in all honesty, I questioned
Yeah.
that mentally as well, I just never brought it
Yeah,
forward.
but the reality is, in a small town, most everybody's on the ballot or on a board for something.
oh, yeah,
and
no, yeah.
Those same people are the types that will work an election, so it's,
Yeah.
stuff,
Understood.
but I'll flush that one out.
Yep,
I think going to a 5-member board is only gonna make it easier because it would spread out the time that you guys have to be there during the election process. But removing the conflict of.
Well, actually, on September 13th, I won't be here,
okay.
so it's gonna be,
Now, according to the moderator, I believe, the moderator believes that there's supposed to be 2 select people there at all times. That hasn't been practical from a 3-member board.
There is conflicting interpretations of that law that,
Correct.
and I have guided you to make an effort to have one of you here at all times and be available by phone for something if something goes wrong or something.
So just so you know, the state does come and check. They do come and they have a whole checklist of things that they check off, and whether or not selectmen are here is one of the things that they look at, so.
I don't know that anybody's ever been scolded for that or not, but,
No. You know,
and that actually, that is in your NHMA policy thing, as everybody knows it doesn't work, and the NHMA is calling for that law to change, and you'll come across that as
yeah.
the legacy.
With that said, I think they're gonna need a lot of hands for the general election,
Yeah,
you know, so.
yeah. And we will, if you can pencil in, I don't know if we're scheduled to meet the night before the general election, but, we're gonna need help setting up the polling place, and even more so at the school, we're gonna need help breaking it down, because we need to get out of the way for school in the
Right,
morning,
Right.
which we don't have to fully break down here.
Right, we break it down, but we leave everything.
Yeah, it's
Piles.
whatever gets done, and then the staff come back on Wednesday morning and finish it off.
we're gonna have to break it down that night.
We really need to get out of their building
Yeah.
by the end of the night on Tuesday. I mean, we could probably work out a place to stage things, but we're not.
You
we
know,
don't
I mean,
have
I
that
think
luxury.
that's a conversation that, too, for the moderator and the supervisors of the checklist. I mean, we can break down the booths pretty quickly after it's the counting that takes for the long hours, and can they, I don't know, can they lock the votes and shift the counting somewhere, or
Well,
No, that all needs to happen in the moment. It needs to happen that night, so
but they don't have, it's the equipment, it's not that.
it's the equipment that really, they're gonna be done.
But you can break down the booths pretty quick.
Yeah.
That can all be cleared out pretty quick.
Yeah, but what
It's-
else is there?
It's the tables and chairs that remain during the counting
They could move
process.
to the cafeteria, right?
The vote counters?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah, that part's that's not a
They
problem.
could move to the
It's-
cafeteria where they have the.
Where they have
cafeteria-
tables.
Where they have the tables.
Yeah,
So those could be left up.
so, yeah, that's probably a conversation.
But
with
there's,
the moderator.
after what you see at the end of the night, the next morning,
Sure.
there's probably 8 or 10 man-hours of work left to
Right.
do.
Yep.
And that doesn't even count transporting everything back from the school, because we need to get out of their way that night, so.
Vehicles to transport all
Not
that
yet.
stuff up
The
there?
rec van?
No.
Can we use the rec van?
No, it's got seats all permanently installed in
I
it,
have a
so.
truck.
That's the kind of thing that we're gonna be,
Okay.
we're gonna be piecing together private
Okay.
trucks and.
Okay.
So anyway, we don't have to do that now, but.
No, but,
But on your calendar, think about the night before and the night of, we're gonna need to be soliciting some volunteer help
Okay.
for that too, so.
so if we have a meeting the night before, we'll wanna reschedule.
We do
don't?
not,
Okay.
Do not.
Yeah.
And when's, did you,
What, your meeting is November
Sixth.
14th,
7, yeah.
so
Voting is just,
the schedule is on the
Eight.
8th.
on the 8th?
okay.
So the 7th, we should slot out
fine.
time.
Haven't the name?
Yeah, what we will do, before your time, I think the selectmen did actually most of the setup work, but,
I think we're supposed to.
We are, we do, we delegate.
but your crack staff has taken over much of that.
He wanted it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
are you gonna need us the Monday night before?
I think, I know we're gonna need you Tuesday night. We might need you Monday, because we're not gonna be able to start until school's out and all of their activities are done for the day.
They may be able to move ARC, if ARC is still there.
They do it in the gym.
Yeah, fine, but
Yeah.
I don't know what else goes on in the school building, but we haven't had those talks yet, but
Yeah.
we know we can't get in there until 4 o'clock at the earliest.
Okay,
And so anyway, just put a big black
I
scar on your
can,
calendar.
I can give,
Put it in our calendars.
Yeah.
Right.
I can give all 3 days as much time as you need me.
yeah.
Okay.
for that.
And I can give my time plus a truck. Okay. Alrighty, anything else?
I'll be here for the general election. I won't be here for the primary.
Okay.
Okay. Don't forget to vote.
So Tyler, if you're here for the primary, we can kind of divvy out the peak hours. Okay. All right, anything else? Anybody want to make a motion?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor?
Right.
Right.
Thank you.